Welcome, everyone, to RSA 2020. We're here in Broadcast Alley, and with me for this interview is Dan DeCloss. He's the founder and CEO of PlexTrack.
Hey, thanks,
Welcome.
Paul. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
The best pen test reporting software on the planet,
Well,
and
thank you.
expanding into other areas. I feel like you have two separate kind of audience. So like if you're a pen tester and you don't like writing reports, which is, I believe, every pen tester on the planet. I've never met a penetration tester that likes writing reports.
Yeah,
put it that way.
I'm anxious to
Right?
meet one. Yeah.
Okay. But so this tool is great for
Right.
having a standard report template, as you've seen some of our previous segments on the show. But also, I'm finding that your product is very applicable to enterprise teams that essentially want to collect data about, I'll use the term exposures, right?
Sure.
And be able to collaborate on remediation of those exposures. Did I capture that?
Yeah. I
correctly?
think we're finding some good traction in the enterprise space where you have like an internal assessment team, whether that's a pen test team or doing vulnerability scans, or even some of the GRC functions like risk assessments and things like that, where they can streamline that collaboration between those assessments and the people actually needing to find and fix the issues, right? And so that's all of our mission, right? Is to really speed up the process and streamline, improving your security posture, right? Because my background, having been on both sides of that fence, is like there's too much stuff in the way. We need to get more signal and less noise and really focus on collaborating quickly and getting these things fixed, right?
And I know that on the surface this sounds like a really boring question about assigning roles inside the software to specific users. And I know it's kind of like, we think of that as really a boring kind of exercise, but it's super important, right, to have. Because what I find the difference between, free and open source and something you could script together yourself versus a commercial product is the ability to have that role-based access control, which is required to be able to share this data amongst teams and have them take actions and control permissions based on role.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so the ability to say like, hey, this team only needs access to this report, and these people only need to be able to just provide status updates. Like, we don't want them changing the actual findings, right, that the red team reported, because that needs to kind of stand as a system of record as well. So, that we run into that a lot too in terms of the build versus buy, where they want to do something internal and they've built it, and then the guy leaves that wrote it, and so no one knows how to support it, and now they're kind of stuck, right?
Right.
So, we really encourage people, like, there is a total cost of ownership with whatever solution you decide to go with.
In terms of getting data about exposures into PlexTrack, is that, we interview people that are working on logging and solving the SIM and logging problem, and that seems to me pretty, because we have syslog, right?
Right.
But there's what's the equivalent of syslog for vulnerability data, right?
Right, yeah.
Maybe XML, but I guess it's APIs, right, that you're hooking in to bring that data in. Is that
we will?
Do you find
Yeah.
people doing that, or
definitely people will use our API to write their own integrations with their scanners or whatnot. Right today we support all the XML imports that the testers are finding.
So manually, so I've got a Nessus scan report in XML format, and I can import that manually.
Yeah.
But now it's starting to move into APIs.
Exactly. Like, we have several customers that are on Security Center or Veracode and things like that. So we're working on those API integrations to make that automated, and even trying to branch into like the playbooks, right, where it's like as some automated functionality is like, as these findings come in, execute some certain things like, okay, change the severity because we know this one is not as applicable in our environment because of the controls we have in place, right? So because every vulnerability scanner is going to provide,
that's really interesting.
It lacks the context.
Yeah,
right?
because so if I run a vulnerability scan and it finds this particular vulnerability, but what you're saying is there's a playbook running maybe in my SOAR that goes, yeah, hey, like, I'm remediating that, so go adjust the vulnerability priority or severity, rather, right?
Yeah. And
That's really cool.
You can do that by default within PlexTrack today, but tying into those more advanced playbooks is part of our goal too, so that really it helps streamline the whole process, right? From the tester that needs to spend more time hacking and less time reporting, and collaborating with the blue team that's going to try and actually fix the stuff that they find.
When you're collecting and tracking all of this data, I would imagine that the reports that would go up to like a CISO level is probably a really big feature, right?
Yeah.
To help, not just the CISOs, but help the teams go, oh, I need to just collect and summarize all this and distill it down at a very high level.
Right. Yeah. So we can do a number of things there. We have an analytics module where you can get some of that data. We have a tagging capability where you can break down by however you've classified your data. But then you can also export to like a custom looking template. So you can make your Word document look really nice. And this is handy for the pen test teams as well, where it's still that kind of that catchy looking template that you've made to have your logo and branding and have any information in there that you want. And really the world's your oyster with that template. You can create it however you want to look. So it could go to the board, it could go to stakeholders, it could go to external auditors, those kinds of things. So.
And you can have custom report templates for all of your different audiences,
exactly.
right? So I'm leading the penetration testing team, and we're collecting all this data, and auditing's coming to me and they want a report. CISO's coming to me, they want a report. Maybe another group, sysadmins or whatever, like they want a report, and I can have a custom template for everybody.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So it works really well to be able.
Where were you in like 2007? I could have used this when I worked for the university. I was doing all these scans, and there was some open source software out there that was, I remember, being pretty awful for managing scan data and stuff, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it was obviously a huge pain point of mine, and I couldn't find anything else that really did the trick, and so just decided to write it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are some of the newer features above and beyond the API support that we talked about?
Yeah. So we just released another white paper. I think last time I was on, we were getting ready to release it. So around effective purple teaming, right? And so being able to do that. But some of the new features in the product include asset management, right? So being able to actually track assets and the number of findings across different reports. So if you have the same finding in two different reports, it'll show up as one instance of that finding for that asset. So really being able to enhance the analytics on the asset piece has been a big feature. We've also had a lot of improvement in just our questionnaire-based assessments. We've been getting a lot of requests for like, hey, I want to send out a questionnaire for third-party risk management or vendor management, or even just some internal self-assessments, those kinds of things. Building things out to other frameworks too, like the CMMC, which is becoming a pretty important topic in especially in like the DoD contracting space or federal contracting space. So we're really enhanced the ability to do those kinds of assessments and questionnaires all in the same platform as well.
That's awesome. I love the asset tracking. It's so important for organizations to be able to track those assets. And by that, I'm assuming you mean like anything that's coming in, you associate with an asset.
Yep. So like if you bring in a Nessa scan, that's another big feature. So we got a lot of requests to import Nmap. We just never had written an Nmap parser. We're like, that should be simple, right?
Should be pretty easy, right?
Yep. So we wrote in an Nmap parser. So like if you just want to start using it as your asset management database, you can start to do that as well. And then any scan that you bring in from into any report within the context of a client, it'll associate those vulnerabilities with that asset. So you really start to help view the vulnerabilities in two different ways. One vulnerability and it lists all the assets, or you can list the asset that has all the vulnerabilities associated with it. And then you can also apply metadata to those assets, like the criticality, the who owns it, the physical location. Like, so some users like to know, like, hey, this person owns it, but it's actually located in Germany, right? And things like that. So being able to have that metadata that you can then, have more drill down on the analytics pieces.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
How do people acquire this product?
Yeah. So you can just go to our website at plextrack.com and request a demo, and then we'll run through the demo, learn about like what your use case might be, and then we can set you up on a free trial. We deploy in multiple ways, so you can either have a tenancy in our multi-tenant cloud, or you can deploy on-premise, or even have a private hosted where we host it, but it's still dedicated to you as a user.
And I can host it in my own cloud too.
Yep,
I'm assuming,
exactly. Right? Yep. So that's what we consider our on-prem. So most our on-prem customers are putting it in their own private cloud.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Well, that's actually really encouraging, right? We talk about the adoption of cloud, so it's good to hear that. In your particular case, you're finding that people deploy into the cloud.
Yeah, and it works really well. And the people that are doing that are using it as a client portal, right? Where they can, let their customers, whether that's an internal, business unit within their company or their actual own clients that they're consulting with, let them log in and be able to track their findings and manage their findings through the portal.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you so much. Of course, if people want to learn more, you can go direct to the website. We also have a landing page set up at securityweekly.com/PlexTrack, and that'll have all the content that we've done with Dan and team. I think it's just been you so far in the content, but you can find it all there at securityweekly.com /even PlexTrack. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you.